Everybody out there, real estate land, looking for information. So it came across this year from many professionals in the industry, NAR, everything. That's where we get a lot of the information, even the lenders out there. That we had a 4% increase in home values. So these are sales prices. I went back probably 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. I was going to put together a little video, and I chose Somerset. I believe, from what I know of the people that have purchased in Somerset, a lot of California transplants, a lot of people, and not to say that they're not in other areas, but a lot of people that are money conscious. And I thought that I was going to be able to show that we had a decrease in overall home prices. So I went back from April of 2022 to the end of the year, which is basically when interest rates doubled. And then I took April of this year to the end of the year because I'm like, absolutely, I'm going to be able to show the home prices went down. Wasn't the case. So as a real estate, can consider myself a student and professional, always paying attention, looking at everything. I'm like, okay, what the heck's going on? So what I was able to figure out, just thinking about my own transactions, my own clients, what's been happening, is we as realtors are supposed to put in the private remarks, basically for the appraisers, for the other real estate agents, how much seller credit, that's money given by the seller from the proceeds, to the buyer, whether to buy down the interest rate, whether to whatever. You want new carpet, paint, whatever was negotiated is what came about. So thinking on my own deals, even from 2.4 million, my seller gave up 30,000, 20 in credits up front, and then some repair stuff and everything like that. So if you really take in consideration across the board, the amount of sales and transactions, and yes, we had transactions, I had transactions where there was no credits given. That depends if it's a multiple offer situation. There's so many variables in every single deal. Location, price range, everything. But if you look at it, I would say at least 55, 60% of the homes being sold were probably seeing at least 3% because different loans allow a different amount of credits to be given. And plus, everyone's pretty much coaching their sellers like, hey, expect that the buyers are going to ask you to buy down their rate. And we're always throwing out there 3%, 3%, 3%. So if you actually think about this and you take a 4%, and this is across the board, they don't go into every individual sale and look at it and then report on it. It shows that sales prices went up 4%. Now, I've been watching for the entire year. I mean, price reduction, price reduction, price reduction, price reduction. It's everywhere. It's in the hundreds of thousands in the multi-million-dollar homes. It's in the 20 to 30,000 for the homes that, it's 800 below, things like that, or situations like that. So if you really take in consideration across the board, the actual increase in home values was more like 1 to 1.5%. And this is going to be area and price range specific. This is not the same for everyone, every neighborhood, every price range, it's not the same. But across the board, if we really looked at that information and you went into every neighborhood and looked, and by the way, if your realtor is getting ready to sell your home and you're throwing them comps going, look what this sold for, if they're not calling the past agents and going, by the way, were there any seller credits? That's what I do. Guess what? Yes, there were seller credits. They didn't put it in the remarks. It's so simple. Take a moment out. Put it in there. I don't have to call you, but it's also good to call other agents and see how things were going with the sale. So anyway, overall, we did not see a 4% increase in home values. That is not a true number. However, many people definitely listed their homes high, and then you saw it, price reduction, price reduction, price reduction, until they finally came to a number that's reasonable. Then, by the way, there was also seller credits given, but no one made mention of it. So before you start thinking that home prices increased 4%, they couldn't have. It's impossible because we've seen price reductions everywhere across the board at every price level. Is there those homes that are in the right place for the right buyer and they're just like, yes, we want it, we're going to go? Of course, that happens. But overall, guys, 55, 65% of the transactions definitely saw seller credits given to the deal, which really it doesn't represent what the actual sales price was. So hope this is helpful. I do believe that we are going to see a lot coming right after March. The market, it will take off this year. Our increased inventory still isn't, we don't have a ton of inventory in centralized Reno and Sparks. So if you've been on the fence, I've had multiple buyers kicking themselves. I shoulda. You guys, if you're waiting for things to take a dump, it ain't happening. Look around us. Every single vacant property, specifically multifamily, commercial, is being built, guys. There's active construction going on. So if you ever want to pay attention or try to figure out what's going on in the market, just look around you. Reno is continuing to boom. This is a solid market to invest in. You're not going to go wrong. However, unless you overpay at the very beginning, and that's something you and your realtor have to discuss if you're in a multi-offer situation. If you love the home, you want it at all costs, that's, every single buyer is different, and so are the sellers. All right, have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.